Hi, I am Erin Kizziar, a doctoral student at the University of Louisiana at Monroe. Today I will be talking to you about research questions. We will look at sample questions to represent multiple regression, logistic regression, analysis of variance, analysis of covariance, and multivariate analysis of variance. Our objectives today: we will determine which complex statistic is most appropriate to use given specific MCNU.SAV variables provided by Dr. Bista. We will view sample questions for each type of complex statistic. We will examine an answer to one of the sample questions. But I do want to let you know that it is beyond the scope of this presentation to discuss detailed descriptions of complex statistics. The research questions for complex associational and difference statistics that we are covering today are multiple regression, logistic regression, analysis of variance, analysis of covariance, and multivariate analysis of variance. We will also conduct an analysis of variance problem with a sample discussion. For a multiple regression research question, if the researcher does not know which variables will create the best predictors, then he or she uses simultaneous regression method. In this method, dependent variables are scale, and independent variables are mostly scale, but can be dichotomous. And so for this sample, we're using the MCNU data that Dr. Bista provided, and the dependent variable will be multicultural attitudes and beliefs. The independent variables for this sample will be ethnicity, age, religion, and family origin. Here's the sample question. How well does the combination of ethnicity, age, religion, and family origin predict multicultural attitudes and beliefs? Notice that the independent variables are listed first in the question, and the dependent variable is last in the question. Now, if the researcher has an idea how predictors may work together to predict the dependent variable, then he or she uses the hierarchical multiple linear regression method. In this method, the dependent variable should be scale, and the independent variables should be mostly scale, but they can be dichotomous. The variables here are dependent variable, multicultural attitudes and beliefs; independent variables, ethnicity, age, religion, and family origin, with the sample question being, if we control for religious differences in multicultural attitudes and beliefs, do any of the other variables significantly add anything to the prediction over and above what religion contributes? If the researcher is interested in many variables and wants a model that has the most significant predictors, then he or she uses the forward multiple linear regression method. In this method, the dependent variable will be scale, and the independent variables will be mostly scale variables but can be dichotomous. The variables in this case are the dependent variable, multicultural attitudes and beliefs; the independent variables, ethnicity, age, religion, and family origin. The sample question is, what is the best combination of ethnicity, age, religion, and family origin predicting multicultural attitudes and beliefs? If the researcher is interested in many variables but wants a simple model with only a few predictors, then he or she uses the backward elimination multiple linear regression method. In this method, the dependent variable is scale, and the independent variables are mostly scale variables and can be dichotomous. The dependent variable will be multicultural attitudes and beliefs. The independent variables will be ethnicity, age, religion, and family origin. The question for the backward method is, what is the simplest combination of ethnicity, age, religion, and family origin in predicting multicultural attitudes and beliefs? We will now look at logistic regression research questions. If the researcher wants to predict a dependent variable from a set of predictor variables, those are independent variables, and the dependent variable is categorical, and some or all predictor variables are dichotomous, then he or she uses logistic regression. In this case, the dependent variable is categorical, and the independent variables are all or some will be dichotomous variables. The variables we will use from MC New Data, the dependent variable is college major. The independent variables will be, have you taken a multicultural course, gender, and do you follow a religion? Using these variables, the resulting research question is there a combination of have you taken a multicultural course, gender, and do you follow a religion that predicts college major? We will now look at the analysis of variance regression research question. If there are a few categorical predictor variables, and each of these variables has a small number of levels, then we use the analysis of variance approach. The dependent variable should be scale. The independent variables are categorical with small numbers of levels. Our dependent variable for this type of regression question will be ethnocentrism as the dependent variable, and the independent variables will be ethnicity and religion. Our question is, what are the effects of ethnicity and religion on a student's understanding of ethnocentrism? The analysis of covariance regression research question. If the researcher wants to control for differences between groups based on a covariate, then he or she uses the analysis of covariance. The dependent variable should be scale, and the independent variables should be nominal or continuous. The variables we will use from MC New Data are dependent variable, ethnocentrism, independent variables, ethnicity, and multicultural attitudes and beliefs. Do multicultural attitudes and beliefs have an effect on a student's understanding of ethnocentrism if we control for differences in ethnicity? Now we will look at the multivariate analysis of variance regression research question. If the researcher wants to consider multiple related dependent variables, then he or she uses the multivariate analysis of variance. The dependent variables, there should be 2 or more, and the independent variables, there should be 1 or more variables. The variables we will look at today are dependent variables, ethnocentrism, and multicultural attitudes and beliefs, with the independent variable being ethnicity. The question is, are there differences among the ethnicity groups on a combination of ethnocentrism and multicultural attitudes and beliefs? Are there differences on these groups on any of these variables separately? So let's solve a sample question. We're going to use the question presented in the analysis of variance. What are the effects of ethnicity and religion on a student's understanding of ethnocentrism? The results for our question are: an analysis of variance was conducted, and Table 1 shows that the interaction between ethnicity and religion on students' understanding of ethnocentrism was not significant, with F equals 0.240, P equals 0.787, with partial ETA squared of 0.001. Table 2 shows the number of subjects, the mean and standard deviation of students' understanding of ethnocentrism for each cell. The assumptions of independent observations and normal distributions were checked and met. According to Leach, Barrett, Morgan, the insignificant interaction between ethnicity and religion on students' understanding of ethnocentrism requires one to examine the two main effects one at a time. Table 1 shows the separate effects of the variables ethnicity and religion on students' understanding of ethnocentrism. Ethnicity's effects on students' understanding of ethnocentrism is not significant. F equals 0.644, P equals 0.526 with partial ETA squared of 0.002. Whereas the effects of religion on students' understanding of ethnocentrism was significant. F equals 0.5976, P is less than 0.05 with a partial ETA squared of 0.011. According to Cohen, this is a small effect size. To review, we looked at sample questions, research questions for complex associational and difference statistics. We looked at sample questions for multiple regression, logistic regression, analysis of variance, analysis of covariance, a multivariate analysis of variance, and we also solved an ANOVA problem and provided the sample discussion. If you'd like further information, please look at the textbook IBM SPSS for Intermediate Statistics, Use and Interpretation by Leach, Barrett, and Morgan.